All right, I'm really excited to share with you my plastic recycling innovation. This is Rusty Ruckert. I am the professor for environmental sustainability, but also I wanted to share with you my plastic sustainability project. That way you can see how yours should look like. And this is using the Zoom tool that I showed you guys how to use. And so here we go. I did skip a couple parts, and I'll show you what I skipped just because I didn't want to do the whole assignment for you. But let's get started with the plastic use in America. Okay, so as you can see, since the 1960s, the use of plastic in the United States of America has increased pretty dramatically, especially between the year 1960 and the year 2000. It was much more than a linear growth. I would say it's closer to an exponential growth there. And that's just really because of innovations of plastic technology and our ability to use it in pretty much everything. And those innovations occurred during that dramatic increase in use in America. You can see that in the 80s, we started thinking, okay, well, we're seeing a lot of plastic use in America, which is a problem. And we're seeing that it was all going to the landfill. I mean, even today, like in near 2020, right there in 2018, we had 27 million tons of plastic going into our landfills every single year. And that's a problem. It's not biodegradable. It's just going to sit there and it's going to leach the chemicals that are found in it, the pigmentations, the binding agents, everything that's in our plastic. It's going to start leaching into the ground, and some problems that could occur, which let's see, actually, I'm not going to talk about the environmental issues. That's going to be the next section, which I'm not going to cover, actually. But those are environmental issues. We have seen an increase of plastic getting recycled and also combustion with energy recovery. So turning plastic into fuel to create energy, which is kind of cool. What is plastic? Plastic comes from crude oil. You know, we'll have a pump, much of it in the ocean, going deep down, pulling crude oil out of the ground, and then we bring it to a refinery where it's distilled. You've seen this fractional distillation infographic before, and what happens is that crude oil gets separated through a distillery, kind of like they do with alcohol. And naphtha is what ends up ends up becoming plastic. So that naphtha, let's talk about what naphtha is, because I mean it's kind of a weird word. So let's just break it down to its simplest form. Okay, so naphtha is a hydrocarbon. That's it. Hydrogen and carbon, two of the most basic elements in the periodic table. Lots of hydrogen throughout the universe. In fact, is the most abundant atom in the universe, hydrogen. And carbon is pretty abundant, but not abundant as hydrogen. And when I say abundant, is actually not too abundant relative to hydrogen. I think it's only 0.5% of all the atoms in the universe is carbon. But naphtha itself doesn't actually turn into plastic very well by itself. And so we need to throw it through this thing called the steam cracker, which applies intense pressure and intense heat, 800-degree heat plus water vapor. And it then breaks down that naphtha into several different things, and mostly ethylene and propylene. So you can see ethylene is a very, very simple structure of 2 carbons in the center with 4 hydrogens on the outside. Propylene is pretty similar, except we throw another carbon and hydrogen together on the top right corner there. Now, a lot of the plastic that is used is ethylene, specifically polyethylene. Now, when you combine a whole bunch of ethylenes together, when they get binded together through processes in similar machinery, it becomes polyethylene. But now polyethylene is usable. That is a very usable product. It is carbon-based, just like human beings are. I really do feel like that's a huge advantage. We are very nimble and bendable. Skin is pliable, and so are muscles and joints, and it's made out of carbon. So it makes sense that carbon would be the base of something that's pliable that we can manufacture ourselves. And you just add hydrogen. We make this hydrocarbon, basically a chain of hydrocarbons to make polyethylene. And that is where plastic comes from. Now, at this point, I would be addressing the biodegradability of plastic. I almost messed up earlier in this presentation. And then I would talk about how it's non-renewable. And also I would talk about where that plastic ends up. I would address that over about 5 slides if I was you guys in your presentations. All right, next section. So there's a lot of companies. There are actually several companies. It's growing and growing that sell goods and services even that are supposed to be green. One of my favorite services that Zoolander 2. They stay in this hotel that used to be like a nuclear waste holding facility. And they're talking about how green they are and how they're reusing stuff that used to be dangerous. And they have farm to table internet, so that service of farm to table internet is very, very green, obviously. Obviously that is not real, but Patagonia is real. And ever since 1985, they've pledged to use 1% of all their sales to environmental causes. Now, we got to think about that. If Patagonia has maybe a 20% or a 10% margin of revenue minus expenses, that means that 1% becomes 5 to 10% of their profits going to environmental causes. So that's no joke. I mean, that's pretty legitimate. Now, one thing you'll notice down here on the left side, that you are going to buy a sweater from Patagonia for a pretty penny. That's $119 for a sweater. I don't know that we in this class are in the income bracket that partakes in these kind of sweaters, but that's pretty expensive. $119. I would say that that's about triple what you would normally spend. And let's see. You can get a Patagonia long sleeve t-shirt for $55. At the same time, you can get this a very similar t-shirt from Old Navy for $15 on sale. And so that's a 3x to 4x difference on what they're charging. And so when we're thinking, when we are considering, okay, I'm going to go the green way on goods and services, how much can we charge? And when it's clothes like this, obviously it's got to be affordable to some extent, but $55 for a t-shirt is not too extreme, but it's proving to people that this is a quality product that's clean and green. Now, the recycled products that they get come from, specifically for Patagonia, is they actually partner with another company called Burio. Now, this is really cool because Patagonia doesn't have to go out and find the stuff that's going to get recycled that gets turned into their clothes. They can focus on their core competency of doing a good job of marketing and creating quality clothes from recycled goods. They don't have to worry about finding the things to recycle. So they partner up with Burio, who uses old fish nets. So they have a collection system for fish nets. They then sell that good, the fish net material to Patagonia, and they turn it into jackets. And I love this marketing. They call it Net Plus, from nets to jackets. And so they're even using the name of what they're recycling in their marketing to sell more jackets at a higher price. I love it. It's genius. I love that they're outsourcing it, and that's something that you'll see that I'll be doing as well with my product. Now, for my business, I wanted to tap into the fastest growing sport in the United States of America, and that is pickleball. Pickleball has turned out to be quite a phenomenon, especially in the last 2 years. And even since 2015, it's been growing like crazy. Now, the game is easy enough that you could go out with your family and play, and it doesn't take a crazy amount of skill just to do the basics of the game. But there's also some very cool complexities of the game to allow people to become professional. Obviously, the pros, the best pros are only make about $250,000 a year playing pro pickleball. And so that's not very much, and so they haven't reached their peak growth yet. But with the growth that's occurring, I'll show you here. They're going to get there. We will see pros turning from tennis pros into pickleball pros, and the money is going to come for sure. Now you can see the pickleball growth. I want to tap into a market that's growing, and we've seen since 2005 and into now, we've essentially doubled the amount of people that are playing. 2015. I said 2005. Since 2015, the number of participation each year has doubled just in 6 years into 2021. We're at about 5 million now. And that's something that I really like to see when I'm thinking about a business, is the consumer base growing. Yes, if it can double in 6 years, maybe it increases by 50% in the next 6 years. That's a market I want to tap into, because I know that there's consumers and there's money and there's growth, and that's important. So what am I going to create for pickleball? I was thinking about pickleball paddles, but that is pretty complex. I wanted to keep it simple, where I could isolate what one of the products are made out of and be able to turn something recycled into that. One of the cool things about pickleball is the ball itself. The ball itself is low-density polyethylene. We were talking about polyethylene earlier. All it is hydrocarbons. It's just carbon and hydrogen connected together in a pliable manner. And so low-density polyethylene is what a pickleball is made out of. One of the cool things about low-density polyethylene is that we use a lot of polyethylene in our lives. In fact, 34% of all plastic is polyethylene. And you can see by these pictures here that grocery bags, we obviously know, oh my goodness, how many grocery bags do we use on a monthly basis just as a family? I'm guessing every time my wife goes shopping, which is about once a week, she comes back with 15, 16 of these bags. So we're at 60 bags a month just in one family. And then if we take into consideration the plastic wrap, the Ziploc bags, a lot of consumer food packaging is low-density polyethylene. And so there's a huge opportunity. There's a massive amount of low-density polyethylene that is very easily collected because of the sheer volume. The way that I am going to collect, I am not going to collect myself, because there's already a system in Arizona put together. So the state of Arizona has partnered with another organization to create Bag Central Station. And what this does is it's a campaign that's launched to collect and recycle plastic bags. And the very best place for them to then partner with another organization, which is grocery stores, to then put little bins there, because people that go to grocery stores, they go once a week. It's easy. They can just bring their old bags there, put it into a little receptacle, and it can then be used to be recycled. And so it's such an easy way, because it is a place that people go to on a regular basis. Albertsons, Safeway, Fry's, Bash's, IGA, Walmart, and Los Altos Ranch Markets. I mean, those are places that pretty much statewide most consumers go to once a week. And so it's such a cool idea to be able to have receptacles there because it's convenient and we're already there. So we just bring our bags. So I'm going to partner with them to be able to get that recycled low density polyethylene from them. Now in this project, I found out the weight of a pickleball and the weight of a low density polyethylene bag. And it turns out that the ratio is about 5-to-1. And so if I'm thinking of myself as I'm a consumer and I use about 60 bags a month, that is essentially, quick math here, 12 pickleballs a month that I'm using at the grocery store. And so if I can convert my 60 bags into 12 pickleballs, I use probably 1 to 2 pickleballs a month, and that would be incredible. That'd be super incredible. And I think that with the market of pickleball, it is a more of a senior market, and so there's a little bit more disposable income in senior markets, and they do want to shop consciously. And so pickleball is ripe for the picking, no pun intended, for a consumer to spend a little bit more money to be conscious. And so this is what the ball would look like. I would try and have some kind of a leaf logo or that recycle with the leaf on the ball itself, and make the ball a deeper bright green so that it can be recognized. Because right now, most of the pickleballs are kind of a yellowish and it had maybe a tinge of green. But if people see, oh, okay, there's that deeper green, that's the recycled ball. And then it's almost we only play with the recycled ball. It's almost a status symbol. And obviously with the logo as well, will make it pretty cool. I came up with a couple, quick little mantras or slogans, which is like pickleballers for the planet, dinking responsibly, because dink is a hit in pickleball, which is a very common hit, and we just call it dinking. We're just dinking, and that's dinking responsibly. Obviously, that's kind of a play off of drinking responsibly. And I'm just gonna call them green balls, straight up. And I was playing with the idea. I know this is slightly inappropriate. Green balls are better than blue balls. That was gonna be one of my slogans, but that's a little that doesn't really. That's not a very good one. But it was, I had a lot of fun with this idea. I'm super excited that I could turn hydrocarbons into something that I play on a regular basis and recycle bags that I use every day. It's just so approachable for the brain, for people to see, oh, okay, wow, 5 plastic bags turned into this one pickleball. So cool. It's so easy to grasp. It's something that the consumers will really enjoy. And now, let's talk about price point. Now, price point for the average ball is $3, which is, to be completely honest, is a little bit of a stretch already. And it's tough to, it's tough. People do not like spending $3 on a pickleball. You're dropping about 36 for a dozen. For me, I think that it would probably, the highest I could go on pickleballs would be closer to $5 a ball. So almost double. And since I don't have to be the one, when the government is collecting the bags and partnering up with grocery chains, it's going to be, and the collection system is going to be a lot more centralized like that. There's going to be a lot of government subsidies within that recycling, which is something that I'm not a huge fan of government subsidies, but if I can use that in a business manner to kind of save the planet, then it's acceptable. And that basically makes the collection system free, which will reduce the amount of money I'll be spending on the polyethylene, recycled polyethylene. So there is my business idea. I hope you've enjoyed that. And that is a presentation. One thing I want to show you right now that my presentation is over, I want to show you that every single one of my slides, okay, in your papers, you need to cite everything that you've got. So any information you present, you need a citation that shows, hey, I got this information from somebody else. This is not me that created it. That's what academic papers look like. Now, in this academic slide deck, I want the same thing to happen. You can see right here, I've got links. I've got URLs at the bottom of every one of these slides. I'm going to try and circle, here we go, the pen. Every one of these slides, you can see, hey, I didn't know that plastic bags were made out of low density polyethylene. I wouldn't expect anybody to know that plastic bags were made out of polyethylene, but I had to look that up, and I read an article that indicated that plastic bags are made out of low density polyethylene, and that 34% of all plastic that is used by consumers was polyethylene. That did not come from my own brain. That came from from that article that I read. And so we just need to make sure that all the information, most of the pictures I got, all these graphics that I got, they are coming from different websites. Okay, I missed a couple, but what I want is, I want to see if you're sharing information that is not really known to you, then I want to see links, some kind of credit given to whoever created that information initially and published it. Okay, that was fun. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing your presentations. Oh, I'm still recording.